Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about realism in Star Citizen. Now, this is kind of a hotly debated topic in the game. I know a lot of people aren't huge fans of, riding the trains and taking elevators everywhere and whatnot. But I think this is kind of an interesting conversation because the game is slowly changing and transforming into something that is more similar to what CIG eventually wants it to be. And over the next 12 months, a lot of this technology is going to come online. So right now we have a lot of systems in place, but the main issue is that they're not tightly connected to create something, an experience that is cohesive, where one thing leads to the other. Now there are a lot of systems that do, that CIG has brought online in the past couple of years, like the medical system, like shops being able to sell to shops after you get loot, the whole loot system. I mean, when I started playing, that didn't even exist in the game. There's so many quality of life things like ship trespass, and a lot of people are talking about permissions between or your people in your party and people who are outside of your party to be able to fly your ship and sell cargo from it and do different things that essentially enable you to play the game in a more immersive way. Now, in my opinion, I think realism is a great part of this game. It's really what sets Star Citizen apart from a lot of other games. And I think things like taking the train and elevators, it's kind of a small price to pay to get that cohesive experience, okay? And it will, in my opinion, make a lot more sense as time goes on. Um, but you look at kind of the gameplay loop and what the game is right now and what it can be, and I think there are a lot of opportunities here for the community to give their feedback. Okay, so uh, a good comparison that I think that is kind of interesting that I was thinking about is the Cutter and the Cutter Rambler. So it is pretty obvious that CIG uh, has designed the Rambler for more future gameplay that's not in online right now, because you look at the suit locker, and the suit locker is not really something that is necessary right now. We have personal storage boxes, and using these personal storage boxes, we can put whatever we want. So we can put our suits, we put our weapons, and we don't really need that extra space on the ship, kind of taking up space. And the reason why the personal storage boxes is more convenient is that you can put anything in it. It's not just relegated to suits and weapons. You can put food and drink and different things in a personal storage box and take it with you just the same way. But what I think is going to be more interesting is if you think about it uh, in kind of the way that CIG plans to make the gameplay of your ship. So in the future, you won't really be able to fly your ship wearing these environmental suits and some of these heavy armors. You won't be able to pilot the ship with your backpack and your weapon on. So what's going to happen is you're going to have to unequip your heavy armor suit and your backpack to be able to fly your ship. Okay, so more than likely you're gonna, of course, need a place to put that in, and you can, move along with a personal inventory box, or CIG can make certain ships have a large enough personal inventory so you can put all of that stuff in there. Um, but the benefits of having a suit locker might be something like a loadout. I wanted to kind of talk about that process a little bit. So right now, you wake up in your hab, you gear up, you go to the terminal, you call your ship, you you know, take the ship out of the hangar, and you go do whatever you want to do. Okay. But in the future, more than likely, you wake up in your hab just wearing regular plain clothes, and then you go to your your hangar, and you call your ship and you go to the hangar and you get this personal hangar, and from there is where you can access your inventory. So normally everyone just accesses their inventory from their hab, but of course, you might have certain things once we get persistent habs in your hab that, maybe, there's a closet in your hab and you have certain things in there. But a lot of your armor sets, a lot of your weapons, a lot of your utility stuff that will be in your kind of like a storage unit at the spaceport, and you call all of this equipment up using the cargo elevator. So again, more than likely you see less players running around in their suits in cities and at spaceports, and then once they get to their hangar, that's when they can worry about that. So a lot of the time people spend getting ready outside the ship will kind of be cut back a little bit more. So going through that process, what you'll be able to do is essentially wake up in your hab, take the train down to the spaceport, call your ship, and then you will get this persistent hangar. From this persistent hangar, call up the cargo elevator, and you have access to your inventory. But when you call up this elevator, you essentially pick and choose what you want to pull out of your inventory. So essentially you say, okay, I want to take this loadout and that loadout, and instead of, going to the shop and picking up all this stuff, you will be able to say, okay, I have all this stuff on this suit. I want this suit. You get a personal storage box with all of that stuff in it, and then you take that loadout and you put it in your suit locker. And so you get into the pilot seat, you fly where you want to go, you go to the suit. Once you get to where you want to go, you go to the suit locker, you put on the suit with all of that gear, and you do your bunker, your mission, whatever you have to do. And so that's, in my opinion, is a streamlined enough process that I really don't think it's going to be that different than what we have now, but it is going to make it a little, it's going to change the way people do things. Obviously, if you need something that isn't in your personal inventory, you're going to have to go through the whole process of buying it and sending it to your inventory. But I mean, then once you get there, you're good to go. So in terms of looting, it'll be pretty similar with the personal inventory boxes, with backpacks, with all this stuff. You bring your loadout with you, you do what you have to do, you take it back to your ship, and you're good to go. And for something in terms of, multi-crew gameplay, I know a lot of people are, very interested in this conversation around resource management, and how immersive that is great. And as a career path for people who are interested in that, that's great. But for people, who don't want to deal with that aspects of the ship, I think it is, again, honestly, a good thing to have, different things for different players who want to be good at different things. And I think CAG can balance this with cost. Essentially, you can have NPCs that essentially prepare your ship before you take off, so you don't have to do any resource management stuff once you leave your ship. So essentially, how I think this could kind of work is, you can go to the terminal, you can call your ship, and from there you can request your ship to be serviced. Essentially, they will tune all of your components, make sure everything is in proper running order, and this will be like a cost that you pay. So if you don't want to have to do any resource management, you can say, kind of just like right now, if your ship is damaged, what you do is you land at a station and then you pay a little bit of money and they repair your ship. But that maintenance, the upkeep, like let's say maybe you have a bad fuse or something like that, you should be able to pay to make sure all of your fuses are replaced before you take off, all of your components are in good working order, have that pre-flight check done by the spaceport maintenance crew, instead of having NPCs walking around your ship, tuning components, doing all this stuff, you can, like a lot of people who own private jets right now, they own the private jet, but they're just passengers. They pay somebody to refuel it, they pay somebody to fly it, they pay people to do everything around the plane, and they're just passengers. So for a player who doesn't want to tune their components and do all of this stuff to make sure that the ship is in perfect working order, what they can essentially do is have the station do that. Instead of having like hiring a crew to do that as well, you can just have that pre-done. So every time you take out your ship, it will cost the price will fluctuate essentially. When you buy a ship for the first time, that ship will essentially you know be in perfect working order. There's nothing that you have to do to it, just like CAG has said. But over time, as you use that ship, as you get in more, difficult situations, let's say that there's wear and tear on the ship. Now, that's not saying that the ship got destroyed or lost a wing. Nothing crazy happened. You just flew it from one planet to another planet. There's a little bit of wear and tear that comes with that. Okay, of course, re-entry, burning up into the atmosphere. You can see a lot of the effects of the wear and tear system in Pyro a lot more in Stanton. Okay, so you'll notice on a lot of the stainless steel skin ships in Pyro, they get dirty a lot faster. And again, that's one of the things that maybe those services aren't as readily available in Pyro as they are in Stanton. But in Stanton, if you're at a major spaceport, you should be able to just ask the spaceport, hey, check all my fuses, check all my components, check all my fuel, make sure everything is ready to go. Make sure the ship is flight ready. So when and there might be a timer involved in that, okay? Maybe it's like, okay, you have to wait 5 minutes for them to do all of the ship maintenance and get it ready for you. So you request your ship, you get this prompt that asks you to do maintenance. Again, you can opt out of this. You could say, hey, I don't have the money to do maintenance right now. I'm going to do the maintenance myself. Or you have a crew of people that do the maintenance, the tuning, all this stuff for you. So let's say you have an NPC crew, they are multi-purpose. You have an NPC that is a turret gunner, but when there's no combat, they run maintenance. But let's say you don't have that, you can just have the station do it. Let's say you have a friend that is essentially the same thing. A turret gunner when the ship needs it, and they're running maintenance when the ship needs it. But if you're a solo player and you don't want to have to worry about any of that stuff, you can just say, hey, spaceport, space station, do the maintenance for me. Again, it's just the same thing like if you have a yacht. If you have a yacht, you pay your dock fees, and then you also pay maintenance fees. So the dock crew, they will clean your ship. They will, like if you have to take your ship out of dry dock, a lot of owners do the maintenance on the ship themselves. They do the oil change for the engine. They change the mainsails. They do all of this stuff on the ship themselves if they know how to do that. But there are some people, they just own the yacht. They have someone else captain the yacht. They have other people, the servers on the yacht that will bring them food and cook for them and do all this stuff. It depends on if you have the money to have the maintenance done on your ship for you, then you can just pay somebody to do it, and that will be a money sink. It will be a time sink, but it will give players that don't have the skill set to do maintenance the ability to just have the game do it for them. Okay, and in my opinion, it's a pretty easy solution to people who are worried about that. But again, overall, if you look at the the realism that's going to come online with personal inventory, with the new looting system. We saw looting at CitizenCon, how that's changing as well. Resource management. 2024 is going to be a big year, and we saw a lot of this tech plan to come out for the next 12 months, and it is definitely going to make the game more involved in some areas. But in my opinion, the it's going to make the experience more cohesive. So in a lot of instances where things don't exactly line up to make sense, there's a lot of friction in the gameplay. But in the future, you're not going to have to look at it like that, where you're deciding whether you're wearing plain clothes or armor sets. Was, well, no, when you're on your ship, you're wearing a flight suit. When you're in a dangerous environment, you're wearing an environmental suit. When you're at a spaceport, you're wearing regular clothes. And because of the way that the inventory is set up, it will just flow like that. So you'll wake up in your persistent hab now, and in your closet you'll have regular clothes. You're not going to have your armor set in your hab. That's going to be in your personal inventory when you go down to the hangar. So when you wake up in the morning, you're just going to automatically put on regular clothes. And so then players around cities, they're just going to be wearing regular clothes. But when they get to the spaceport and they call their ship, up from their personal inventory, they're going to get their loadout, their armor. They're going to equip that, they're going to get on their ship, and they're going to go where they need to go. So whereas now you see a bunch of players running around in armor, you won't see that when the persistent habs and hangars come online, because those inventories are going to be split up, where your regular clothes are going to be in your hab inventory, and your armor sets are going to be in your station inventory, wherever that is going to be. So again, it seems like it might be tedious, but that level of realism is actually going to make it easier, in my opinion. And people might say, oh, this game might be too realistic, but again, right now it's slightly realistic and slightly video gamey. But as you add a little bit more realism to it, it's gonna make more sense, and you're just gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm in my hab. I'm wearing regular clothes. I'm in the spaceport, getting ready to go on my ship. I'm wearing, armor set. So I think in that sense, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think it's gonna be more exciting. Again, 2024 is gonna be a huge year for the game, and I'm excited about the content. This is just a small little video kind of talking about it, because I went out flying with the regular cutter, and I was thinking about the cutter rambler and the suit locker, and the idea of a loadout and how all of that might work. So I thought this was kind of like a cool video to make. I'm back from vacation. I hope everyone had an amazing holiday, amazing Luminalia, as it is in the verse. And I'll be back to making regular videos, so you guys stay tuned for that. A lot of content to go over. I think CIG gave us a really cool patch with 322. There's a lot of stuff in this patch. New outposts, new salvage, quality of life stuff, to kind of hold everyone over during the content drought that is January. But the devs have definitely earned this time off. So yeah, there's still actually a lot of content that I haven't gone over from CitizenCon. So we're going to talk a lot more about that stuff, base building, and again, the cargo elevators and that type of stuff that was talked about at CitizenCon, resource management. So yeah, if you guys are excited about that, stay tuned and let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think Star Citizen is too realistic? Do you think it's not realistic enough? Do you think more games need to be more realistic like Star Citizen? I want to hear from you guys. That's why I make these videos, to talk to the community and have that dialogue about these interesting topics. I'm a theory crafter, it's what I do. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me here today, you guys. Like I always say at the end of these videos, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Salute.